All right, so I wanted to share another one of my all-time favorite podcasts. Now, this is one of my favorites because I've been listening to it for at least the past 8 years. And I would say in the past 8 years, I've listened to at least 90%, if not almost 100% of the podcast on this channel. And this channel is the Personality Hacker Podcast. A big reason that I love this podcast is because when I originally started my YouTube channel, it was mostly about Myers and Briggs type indicator and Carl Jung and the cognitive functions, which I still do talk about. Though working with Personality Hacker, I have found other directions that I wanted to bring my channel. Because I think the big thing about the Personality Hacker podcast isn't actually the podcast, it's Joel Marquardt and Antonia Dodge and their personalities and their drive to engage with people, because what they do is actually way bigger than their podcast. What they do is they host live events multiple times a year. They create courses for individuals to sign up for and go learn about personality type. Beyond that, the courses allow people to spend a week embodying the cognitive functions, which I don't think you see a lot in the type community. What we see in type a lot is just people wanting to talk about what is type, put people in a box and things like that. And while they do have coaching and profiling services, it seems that the way that they understand type is more experiential. So, they share what they've learned in their podcast. They share their own individual stories as husband and wife and parents, and then they bring some of the things that they have found working with people at the live events. And I have been to the live events. I have interviewed Joel and Antonia when I was at the live events, and I'll be going to another one in April. So, I really appreciate what they do for the type community. I do think that if you are into personality typing, then I would definitely listen to them, because they're not just going to tell you the type, they're going to tell you. We can just take a look at the types of episodes that they put out. If we look at, they look at the different functions, so we can see sensing and intuition. They look at how people are processing their type, basically like what factors are contributing to somebody mistyping. They provide models. This is a really good one, the drama triangle. So they look at the victim, villain, and hero roles, and then they give practical advice for filling the role that you want to take on. Because, most people don't want to take on the victim role or don't want to take on the villain role. So they give you other ways of getting into the hero role without actually having to take on the hero archetype, because there are other archetypes that basically sit at the same level of hero. I won't give you all the details. You should go listen to the episode on your own. Another thing that I really like is over the past few months, they've gotten really consistent. So pretty much every Sunday night, they're putting out their podcast on YouTube, and then it ends up on the podcast platforms, usually on Monday. And they go into some really great things, such as one that I found was really interesting was about using AI and tarot cards for getting more in touch with your intuition, which I thought was interesting because prior to listening to the podcast, I had actually worked with ChatGPT multiple times, trying to have it analyze some of my writing to see what kind of underlying cognition was in my writing. Also, I've asked it to kind of analyze what it knows about me and describe my cognition based on Carl Jung's cognitive functions. And they do it in a lot of different ways. And then, back to the live events, I would say that you would listen to them for a while and you would get a good understanding of how they see the system. And then you can go to one of their live events, and the live events are going to be way more than just figuring out what type is. You're going to embody extroverted sensation and then see what type of intuitive process happens from that. Beyond that, they have people who are experts in the type community show up a lot of the time. So when I've been at the live events, I've had my brain scanned by Dr. Dario Nardi. I've done some Kundalini yoga, and They do some seminars where they do shadow work and other things like that. And you'll be in a community of people who are just as interested in type because, it's very niche to be interested in typology and Carl Jung. So you actually have to go out and find a way to interact with people who are also interested. And I think really, when you look at the type community, most people just want to define a type. They don't actually want to think about, like, what does it mean to be a type? How can you grow being that type? Where are you going to get caught up being that type? And then, the actual actions that you can take to improve your life based on your type. Because I think no matter what your type is, when you're struggling or something like that, there's things that you can do to minimize your overthinking or control your feelings. And a lot of that may be just be talking it out, which when you're in a community of other people who like the same things that you do and have the same interest, especially in something so abstract, that it's really good that we have people like Joel and Antonia who are setting up these types of communities. So my biggest suggestion is that if you really want to understand type the same way that I do, definitely check out their podcast. If you think about going to one of their events because you listen to their podcast and you're like, these people are really good, they seem to be really interested, don't hesitate to go sign up for an event. Maybe you'll see me there. Maybe you'll be able to get your brain scanned. There's no guarantees on that because, a lot of people show up to this, people from all over the world. They usually happen in the United States, but we get people from other countries showing up there. So, you go there and you'll have an experience that you probably won't find anywhere else that is both physical and mental. You have to, you talk about the functions and then you embody them. After classes, you spend hours just learning about other people and how they experience being their type. And I think that's really what type is supposed to be. And for my own channel, what I think I've learned from them is to kind of take the aspects of myself and integrate them because I don't want to give up type, but I want type to be something that is useful to people. That's not just putting a label on something. It's something that they can use. And, if they spend a week at a live event, they can go home and find ways to integrate themselves into the things that they have learned. And I think Personality Hacker does the best job at that. And that's why I wanted to share this as one of my top podcasts. It's probably, now that I think about it, it was probably either the first or second podcast I ever listened to. And I continued to listen to them. So check it out. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching.